There have been some changes in the group journey, and the journey must continue. I'll tell you what I mean coming right up. Hello, everybody. Gary Stuckey here. Welcome back to another episode of Steve Perry News. And today's episode is not so much about Steve Perry as it is about Journey, although Steve is part of it. Of course, most of you know by now that Steve Smith and Ross Valory are no longer in the band. They were fired by Neil Schon and Jonathan Cain a couple days ago after an attempt by Ross and Steve Smith to overtake the band, get the rights and have the Journey name. And Neil and John were suing them for that. And, it's a sad thing. There have been documentation online, for the past day or so of the court documents and everything. Go check it out, if you want a full information, the full rundown of everything, And there's been a lot of speculation, and I'm not big into, to say anything negative about anybody. I love everybody in the band, past and present, and especially, like Neil Schon, I'm a big fan, I talk to him over on Twitter a lot, and just, what can I say? Him and Jonathan Cain. I'm big fans of those guys, but also Steve Smith and Ross Valory. And I've talked to either them or some of their families or friends online. And it's just like a close family. When you're fans, I know all of you do the same thing. You talking to them and just encouraging the band Journey. So whenever members leave or they're fired, it hurts, and you can't really take sides. Some people are saying Neil Schon, Jonathan Cain, point fingers. Can't really do that because there's two sides to every story. And the main thing you have to understand is it's a business thing. It's not like being friends and hanging out, going fishing. This is like a business, and there's ways to take care of it. And things have to be done. We don't know the whole story, but I do wish it had been done differently. I wish those guys had been able to sit down and talk about it, and in the papers and things, in articles, it's talking about, Ross and Steve were wanting some more money after they retire. See, I think they were about ready to call it quits. And they were hoping to get some kind of, money coming in, while they're in retirement. And that would help them, whenever, if they took control of everything. And, so that's understandable to a degree. It's just, the way things are handled, it's just, it just didn't work out the way it should have. Let's just say that. But I'm not siding with anybody or pointing fingers, but the journey must continue. I mean, those guys, Jonathan Cain and Neil Schon. Neil Schon's been there since the beginning. He's tried real hard to keep the band going. There's been a lot of ups and downs in the band, over the years, but he's keeping it going, and he's got some new music now. A lot of people throw me under the bus and talk about me because I'd mentioned Steve Perry maybe doing some songs with them, and everybody, got bent out of shape. Some still believe, and it's one of those things. But I'm not gonna let it stop me, from believing. But I'll just keep going. I'll just keep, hoping. But the future is still gonna include Journey members. Jonathan Cain, Neil Schon, Arnell still be there, but new music is on the way. And I told Neil Schon over on Twitter, it's like Raised on Radio days. If you'll remember, Steve Perry ousted the same two guys back in 1986. So it's like history repeating itself. And I told Neil over there, I said, maybe it's like Raised on Radio Part 2. And who's to say, and I know all the people been out of shape. If I said maybe it's setting up for Steve Perry to do some songs, or maybe. But, here's something to think about. I know, you don't have to get bent out of shape and just go crazy because I mentioned the fact, it's just, I'm just throwing it out there. But if Steve, let's just say Steve were to do some songs with Journey, and you got Arnell there, they could take turns. And then what if Dean Castronovo came back? A lot of people are speculating that. I know he's busy with other bands. He's got a lot of projects going on. So that, it's just one of those things, a possibility, So, and I even said maybe Randy Jackson could come back, and speaking of Randy Jackson, one of his pals, Bo Bice, I got to interview Bo Bice from American Idol yesterday, when all this was happening. I was excited about that, but that kind of ruined my day when I heard about Ross and Steve being, out of the band. But like I said, you can't point fingers and you can't say, hey, I don't like you, you're a jerk, you did this, because you have to look at both sides and understand, but I do ultimately believe there could have been a better way to fix it. And I still believe that one day, it'll be fixed and things will be better, because I'd hate for those guys and the legacy of Journey, be tainted because there's some bitterness there because somebody was hurt, and my ultimate hope is that everybody can get together at one point in the future, just like at the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, for something, maybe, if anything, just to be friends, but maybe musically, but, and maybe Steve Perry will be in there. I know he signed, people say, well, he signed on the documents that he was for Steve and Ross, and, well, did the same people, did they predict any of this was going to happen? You can't really say, all you can do is hope and believe and wonder, but all I know is the journey will continue, and see what happens next. It's one of those daily soap opera things. I think you got to get popcorn and see what happens next with Journey. And Steve Perry will always be doing music in some form. So, we'll always be looking forward to Steve Perry music. Regardless of what he does, I'm excited. And he's got some stuff coming up, I'm pretty sure, and I'll let you know more about that pretty soon. Hey, everybody, whatever you do, don't stop believing. This is Gary Stuckey. God bless you.